The ice trembled beneath her feet, a deadly vibration that only she, the deaf elder, could feel. They are here, Anya thought, the air freezing in her lungs as the 7 colossal white figures emerged from the blizzard, their furious howls breaking the silence only she knew. With the children huddled behind her, Anya knew that every step on the cracked ground was a gamble against nature's fury, and what she did next would decide everyone's fate. Anya felt the children's panic like an electric shock through the ground, a tremor sharper than the cracking ice itself. Her eyes, accustomed to the darkness and the pale light of Yakutia, swept over the small faces behind her. There were little Boris, with his 6 winters and wide eyes, and brave Lena, 10, who clutched the hand of her younger sister Ksenia, just 4. Their fear was a silent scream that Anya understood perfectly, a discordant melody resonating in her own heart. She couldn't hear them, but she could feel every accelerated heartbeat, every held breath, the cold that ran down their spines. She raised her hand, a slow, firm gesture for all to see. Her calloused, strong fingers pointed to a narrow crevice between 2 snow-covered rocks, a path that seemed impossible, but which she knew was their only chance. The wind howled, cutting exposed skin like 1,000 razors, and snow whipped their faces. Anya felt the colossal mass of the bears moving, the earth vibrating under the weight of their giant paws, each step a reminder of imminent death. They weren't far. Hunger drove them, and the blizzard, which had once protected them, now revealed them in its fury. With a nod, Anya indicated they should follow her. Boris, the most fearful, hesitated, his lips trembling and his eyes fixed on the white expanse. Anya knelt for an instant, and her eyes met his. There were no words, only a silent promise of protection, an unwavering strength that emanated from her, enveloping him. Boris swallowed hard and, clutching Lena's coat, took the first step. Little Xenia nestled against her sister. Anya's courage was contagious, a flame that ignited hope in the children's hearts. They were small, but the connection between them and the elder was an iron bond forged in the harshness of Yakutia. Anya led the group, her body hunched against the wind, but her mind sharp as a blade. Every fiber of her being was attuned to the ground's vibrations. She felt the ice beneath her feet, the solid rock, the soft snow, and, more importantly, she felt the presence of the bears, not as a sound, but as a pressure in the air, a tremor underground, a shadow at the periphery of her perception. There were 7, each a mountain of muscle and white fur, and she needed a plan as subtle as falling snow and as strong as the mountains surrounding them. The path through the rocks was treacherous. Thin ice covered slippery stones, and with each step Anya tested the ground with the tip of her staff, feeling for firmness before allowing the children to advance. Lena helped Ksenia, pulling her gently, her own fears subdued by the need to protect her sister, a primal instinct. Anya looked back every few seconds, her eyes conveying confidence, a beacon in the darkness of the engulfing storm. The refuge now seemed a distant point, a memory fading into the relentless whiteness. Suddenly a stronger vibration. One of the bears was approaching, circling the rocks, trying to outflank the group with cunning. Anya stopped abruptly, raising her hand again. The children, accustomed to her signals, stopped too, their hearts pounding in their chests. She pointed to a small indentation in the rock, a temporary shelter, tiny but safe for a moment. There was no time for explanations. With a gentle push, she indicated they should hide there. Her eyes, now fixed on the snowy horizon, searched for the colossal shape approaching. The dance with death had begun, and Anya knew she would need all her wisdom to guide her little ones through it. The survival of the next YAKUT generation depended on every decision she made, every vibration she felt, every calculated step in the frozen, merciless heart of the world. Anya felt the ground vibrate with increasing intensity, the heavy rhythm of the bear's paws drawing closer. It was an enormous male, its claws scraping the ice with a sound that, to her, was a series of small shocks, a clear message of danger. The wind, which had previously whipped at her, now seemed to push the creature towards her. She remained motionless, her eyes fixed on the point where the colossal form would emerge from the blizzard. The children, huddled in the rock crevice, watched her with bated breath, their small faces pale and their eyes reflecting the anxiety Anya felt but could not show. The bear appeared, a white mountain of muscle and fury, its small dark eyes fixed on the indentation where it sensed the presence of life. It growled, a sound Anya didn't hear, but felt the deep reverberation in her chest, a primal warning. She knew she couldn't confront it. Her strength lay in intelligence, in her connection to the earth, and in her ability to anticipate. With a slow, calculated movement, Anya raised her staff, not in defiance, but as an extension of her body, pointing to the thinner ice to the bear's right. The predator, confused by the stillness and the small human figure's gesture, hesitated for an instant. Anya felt the vibration of its front paw lifting, ready to strike. At the same moment, she struck her staff on the ground, a dry blow that to her was an explosion of vibrations. The bear instinctively moved to avoid the sound that didn't exist for Anya, but which it perceived as a disturbance in the air, in the ice. It stepped exactly where Anya had pointed, onto the most fragile layer of ice covering a small depression. With a terrifying crack, the ice gave way under the bear's colossal weight. The animal roared, unbalanced, and one of its paws sank into the icy water hidden beneath the snow. It wasn't a deep hole, but enough to surprise it and make it recoil. With a grunt of frustration and rage, it was Anya's chance. Without a second to lose, she made a quick signal to the children, indicating it was time to leave their hiding place and move on. Boris, his eyes still wide, looked at the bear, now trying to regain its composure, shaking its wet paw. Lena, quicker, pulled Senior and emerged from the crevice, following Anya without question. The elder didn't look back. She felt the bear moving away, momentarily disoriented, but knew the truce would be brief. There were 6 others, and their hunger would not diminish. Anya guided the children along an even narrower path, between rocks covered with frozen moss and compacted snow. Every step was a test, every breath a silent prayer. She felt Lena's heart pounding, Ksenia's small hand clutching her sister's, and Boris, though still scared, following with a determination that filled her with pride. They were learning, adapting, trusting. The connection between them deepened with each obstacle overcome. The wind continued to blow, relentless, but Anya's determination was stronger. She was the guardian, the bridge between her people's past and future. With each vibration of the ground, each subtle tremor, she adjusted her path, veering away from dangers invisible to others, but as real to her as the ice beneath her feet. The deadly ballet continued, a silent dance of life and death in the white expanse of Yakutia, and Anya was determined to guide her little dancers to safety, whatever the cost. The next challenge, she knew, would not be long in coming. Anya felt the air change, a different density that announced not only the proximity of another bear, but perhaps more than one. The ground vibration became a chorus of pressures, no longer the solitary rhythm from before. Her eyes, which swept the white and infinite landscape, could not penetrate the thickening curtain of snow. But her feet and body read the earth like an open book. 2 new bears, she felt, were moving on a different flank, perhaps alerted by the first one's grunt of frustration. The group of children, exhausted but determined, followed her closely, their small hearts beating in unison with the hope Anya instilled in them. Anya knew she couldn't use the same tactic twice. The bears were intelligent, experienced Arctic predators, and would learn quickly. She needed something different, something that would confuse them and drive them away without direct confrontation. She felt a rocky elevation ahead, a formation that could offer temporary shelter, but also a dead end if not used wisely. The wind increased its fury, bringing with it tiny ice crystals that stung the skin. The temperature dropped even further, and the cold penetrated layers of skin and clothing, threatening the children's small bodies with dangerous exhaustion. With a quick and decisive gesture, Anya indicated they should climb the elevation. The children, with what little energy they had left, began to climb, helping each other. Lena pushed Ksenia from behind, while Boris reached out a hand to the girl, a small act of altruism that warmed Anya's heart. She watched every movement, every expression of effort and fatigue, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. The connection between them was palpable, an invisible thread of trust and dependence. Anya was the compass, the beacon, the unwavering protector, and her eyes conveyed a silent strength. At the top of the elevation, the wind was even more merciless, but visibility for a brief moment improved slightly. Anya felt the two bears approaching from opposite sides of the rock, encircling them in a calculated move. The vibration of their paws was a deep, constant drum, a silent and deadly siege. She could feel the predatory intent, the deep hunger. The children's eyes widened again as they perceived the colossal shadows moving just below, their white forms almost invisible in the snow. Panic threatened to return, but a firm, determined look from Anya kept them rooted, trusting in her wisdom. Anya looked around, seeking a solution. Her eyes fell upon a small pile of loose stones, frozen at the top of the elevation. With considerable effort, she began to push the larger stones with her staff, feeling the vibration of the ice cracking and the rocks loosening. The children watched, confused, but without questioning. As one of the bears was about to climb the steepest side, Anya, with a silent cry of effort, managed to dislodge a large stone. It rolled down the mountain, hitting and dragging other smaller stones, creating a deafening noise for the bears and a violent tremor for Anya. The other bear, alerted by the noise, hesitated for a crucial instant. It was the chance Anya had been waiting for. She made a quick signal to the children, indicating a steep, narrow descent on the opposite side of the elevation, where the ice seemed firmer and safer. They descended quickly, slipping and supporting each other, adrenaline propelling them through the biting cold. Anya's heart pounded, not from fear, but from a fierce and unwavering determination. She felt the bears confused, but still present, their vibrations distant but menacing in the white expanse. The journey was far from over, but the hope and deep connection between the elder and the children grew stronger. The descent from the rocky elevation was steep. Anya felt the intense cold of the wind cutting deeper. The children, panting with a renewed breath of hope, followed her closely. Boris clutched Lena's hand firmly. Lena carried Ksenia on her back, asleep from exhaustion, a precious weight that the 10-year-old girl bore with admirable strength. Anya felt the bear's vibrations reorganizing, a slow and methodical movement, encircling them cautiously. The elder knew the terrain ahead was treacherous. A vast expanse of smooth ice stretched out, dotted with snowdrifts. Beneath the ice, she felt the running water of a frozen river, a deadly trap. With each step, she struck her staff, testing the solidity. Her feet read the surface with precision. The danger was not just the bears, but the earth itself, which could swallow them. Anya gestured to the children, walk in single file, stepping in her footprints. Lena understood, and Boris, apprehensive, mimicked the elder's steps. The responsibility weighed heavily, but the sight of the little ones, following her with confidence, filled her heart with determination. They were the flame she protected, the promise of a future for her people. Suddenly, the vibration changed. It wasn't the heavy rhythm of the bears, but a subtle, continuous tremor coming from below. The ice was cracking, fissures spreading. Anya stopped abruptly, raising her hand. Her eyes met Lena's, who understood the gravity. Panic threatened to return in the children's eyes. The elder pointed to small islands of denser snow floating on the thin ice. A risky route, but the only chance to cross without falling into the icy water. She indicated they should jump from one island to another with extreme care. Anya went first, her agile body landing softly. Lena, with Ksenia, hesitated, but Anya's courage was a beacon. Boris, with an awkward jump, followed her, almost losing his balance. As they advanced, Anya felt the bear's vibrations intensifying. They were approaching the frozen river, sensing the group's presence. The growls, which Anya didn't hear but felt the reverberation in the air, were a constant reminder of the pursuit. She needed to speed up, but every reckless move could be fatal. With an urgent gesture, Anya indicated they should run the last few meters to the opposite bank, where the ground was firmer. The children, exhausted, found inner strength, driven by survival instinct and unwavering faith in their guardian. They ran, their small feet tapping lightly on the ice. Anya last felt the ice bend dangerously, but managed to reach solid ground, pulling Boris to safety. Behind them, the ice cracked and gave way with a thunderous sound that Anya felt like an earthquake. One of the bears, heavy and clumsy, stepped on the most fragile part and partially sank into the water. The animal's roar of fury, felt by Anya as a shockwave, resonated across the landscape. They were safe for now. The journey was long, and the main village seemed a distant dream in the relentless expanse of Yakutia. With each step, Anya felt her connection to the earth and to the children deepen, an invisible web of life and hope. Anya felt the fury of the bear that had fallen through the ice, an intense vibration of rage and frustration that slowly dissipated as the animal struggled to pull itself from the icy water. The group was now on the opposite bank, exhausted but safe from that momentary trap. The snow continued to fall, dense and relentless, transforming the landscape into a white, indistinct sea. The main village seemed even more distant, a faint promise on the frozen horizon. Anya looked at the children. Boris, his cheeks red from the cold, trembled, but his eyes showed a new spark of courage. Lena, with Ksenia still asleep in her arms, clutched her sister, her small face marked by fatigue, but her determination unwavering. The elder knew they couldn't rest. The cold was an enemy as lethal as the bears, and immobility meant the end. She felt the earth beneath her feet, searching for the next route. The vibrations indicated an area of deeper snow ahead, followed by a series of small, frozen hills. It was a winding path, but one that would offer some cover and perhaps confuse the predators. With a nod, she indicated the direction, and the children, without questioning, began to follow, their small bodies hunched against the wind. The snow was thick and soft, making every step difficult. Their feet sank, and the effort to move was immense. Anya felt the children's exhaustion, the rhythm of their hearts accelerating with the effort. Boris stumbled several times, but Lena helped him up, her eyes fixed on the elder, seeking the strength she radiated. Ksenia, who had woken up, now whimpered softly, the cold and exhaustion taking their toll. Anya stopped for an instant, kneeling to embrace the little one, transmitting warmth and security with her touch. There were no words, only the silent promise that everything would be all right. The ground vibrations changed. The bears were regrouping, coming from different directions, trying to corner them again. Anya felt the presence of 3 of them, moving with frightening synchronicity. The blizzard, which was a blessing for hiding their movements, also hampered visibility, making every decision even more critical. She pointed to a narrow crevice between 2 snow hills, a path that looked like a white tunnel. It was risky, but it could offer a quick passage and disorient the predators for a while. With an urgent gesture, Anya indicated they should enter the crevice. The children, with a last effort, squeezed through the narrow path, soft snow falling on them. Anya was the last. feeling the vibration of the bears rapidly approaching the tunnel entrance. She knew they couldn't pass through the narrow crevice, but they could wait at the exit. She needed a distraction. Her eyes fell upon a large, loose block of ice stuck to the side of the crevice. With her staff, Anya began to strike the block of ice, feeling the vibrations spread. The sound to her was a dry, strong tremor. She pushed with all her might, and the block of ice broke loose, rolling to the crevice entrance, partially blocking the passage and creating a noise that, to the bears, would be loud and unexpected. The vibration of their paws stopped abruptly. They were confused, standing at the entrance, not understanding what had happened. It was their chance. Anya signaled to the children, indicating they should run. They emerged from the crevice, panting, but propelled by a new wave of hope. The landscape ahead was a labyrinth of snow and ice, but Anya felt the direction of the main village, an internal compass guided by the earth's vibrations. With each step, she felt her connection to the children, the invisible thread of trust and love that bound them growing stronger. The journey was a test of her resilience, and Anya was determined to prove that the YAKUT spirit would never bend. The elder led, her body hunched against the wind that whipped the snow into blinding whirls. The little ones, with flushed faces and chapped lips, followed her with unwavering faith. Boris, scared, held firm, his eyes fixed on Anya's back. Lena, with Senia nestled, murmured lullabies, a balm for their fear. The deep snow drained their last energies. Anya felt their exhaustion, the slowing of their small hearts, and knew she needed shelter. The ground vibrations were a complex symphony. The bears, confused, did not give up. She felt their presences spreading out, encircling them in a wide arc. The predator's intelligence was frightening. Anya scanned the landscape, seeking an advantage. It was then that she felt a different vibration, subtle but persistent, coming from an unexpected direction. It wasn't the weight of a bear, but a hollow resonance, like an emptiness beneath the earth, an ancient secret calling to her. Driven by ancestral intuition, Anya diverted their path, indicating to the children that they should follow her through rocks covered by thick snow. The wind howled, creating a ghostly sound. The children, wide-eyed, looked at the darkness, but their trust in Anya was greater than their fear. As they approached, the elder felt the hollow vibration intensify. It was an ice cave, almost buried, its entrance barely visible. A dark hole, promising both danger and salvation. With her staff, Anya removed the snow, revealing a narrow, dark opening. The air coming out was warmer, less biting, a momentary relief. She signaled for the children to enter one by one. Boris hesitated, but the promise of warmth propelled him. Lena, with Ksenia, entered right after. Anya was the last, feeling the ice beneath her feet, the cold rock of the walls. Inside, the darkness was almost total, but the faint light from the entrance revealed a small but deep space. The ice ceiling reflected bluish tones. The walls were smooth and damp, the floor covered by ice and compacted snow, more stable. The children huddled together, seeking warmth. Ksenia stopped whimpering, feeling the relief of the wind ceasing. Anya sat near the entrance, her senses sharpened. She felt the vibrations of the bears outside, still close, sniffing. The cave ice muffled the vibrations somewhat, making interpretation difficult, but she knew they were there, waiting. The cave was a refuge, but also a potential trap. There was only one entrance. It was then that Anya felt something more, a faint vibration, almost imperceptible, coming from the back of the cave. It wasn't cracking ice or moving rocks. It was different, deeper, a distant echo. Curious, she stood up, tapping her staff to test the stability. The children watched her. Anya advanced slowly, her feet reading every inch of the ground. The vibration intensified, leading her to a narrow crevice in the farthest wall, almost invisible. It was a secret path, a hidden passage that could be the key to salvation or an even greater danger. The turning point was there in the icy darkness, revealing a new path. Anya, her intuition sharpened by a lifetime of experience in Yakutia, knew that subtle tremor was no mistake. The narrow crevice, almost invisible in the cave's icy wall, promised either a new lease on life or an even more treacherous trap. She turned to the children, her eyes conveying a mix of caution and renewed hope. With a slow gesture, she pointed to the opening, indicating they should follow her. Boris, despite persistent fear, saw the unwavering determination on the elder's face and nodded, a small act of courage. Lena, with Senior clutched against her, hesitated for an instant, but her trust in Anya was an unbreakable bond. The elder was the first to squeeze through the crevice, her slender body sliding with ease. The air inside the passage was colder and denser, with the damp smell of ancient ice. The darkness was almost total, but Anya felt the icy walls beneath her hands, the uneven ground beneath her feet. She tapped her staff gently, testing the path's solidity, reading the vibrations with the precision of someone reading a complex map. The passage was narrow, forcing them to walk in single file, and sloped gently downwards, as if the earth were swallowing them. The children followed her, one by one, their small bodies contorting to pass through the opening. Boris felt the ice brush against his clothes, a biting cold that made him shiver. Lena, with Xenia asleep, had more difficulty, but with each gentle push from Anya, she found the strength to move forward. The silence within the passage was almost oppressive, broken only by the children's ragged breathing and the muffled sound of Anya's staff. Outside, the bear's vibrations were still perceptible, but more distant, confused. As if the predators were perplexed by the sudden disappearance of their prey, they advanced for what seemed an eternity, darkness enveloping them like a heavy cloak. Anya felt the children's anxiety, the fear of the unknown, but also the growing hope that this path would lead them away from imminent danger. She knew the cave was a temporary refuge, but this secret passage could be the definitive escape route. The icy walls gleamed faintly in places, reflecting the little light that filtered from almost imperceptible cracks above. Suddenly, Anya felt a different vibration, stronger, coming from below. It wasn't cracking ice, but a hollow sound, as if there were a large space just beneath them. She stopped abruptly, raising her hand. The children, accustomed to her silent signals, stopped too, their eyes wide in the darkness, trying to decipher the danger. Anya struck her staff on the ground with more force, and the vibration confirmed her suspicion. A large underground chamber, and the ice beneath their feet was dangerously thin. It was a new obstacle, more subtle and treacherous than the bears. Anya felt her heart quicken, not from fear, but from a fierce urgency. She couldn't risk the children's lives on a false step. With extreme care, she knelt, feeling the ice with her hands, searching for firmer footholds. The passage widened slightly there, and a small rocky projection offered an alternative, though more difficult path along the wall. With a gesture, Anya indicated that the children should cling to the wall, moving slowly along the projection. Boris was the first, his small fingers gripping the irregular icy ledges. Lena, with Xenia, required more effort, but the sight of Anya ahead, firm and unwavering, propelled her. The elder watched every movement, feeling the tension in the children's muscles, the breath caught in their chests. Every step was an act of faith, every touch a silent promise of protection. They advanced like this, millimeter by millimeter, over the invisible abyss. Anya felt the fragility of the ice beneath her feet, the current of icy air coming from the chamber below. With each meter overcome, hope ignited a little more. Finally, the rocky projection widened, and they could step onto firmer ground, away from the treacherous ice. The relief was palpable, a collective sigh that Anya felt in the air. The passage began to ascend again, and a faint light appeared ahead, a pale glow that promised the end of darkness. The children's eyes filled with new hope. Anya felt the air change, the cold surface wind returning, but now with a scent of pines and fresh snow, not of bear. They were getting out. With a final effort, the elder guided them out of the crevice, emerging into a different landscape, a snow-covered valley protected by slender trees. The main village was still far, but the feeling of having escaped the bear's trap was a balm for their souls. The secret path had worked, and Anya's connection to the earth had once again saved them all. Anya emerged from the crevice, the icy surface wind greeting her with a biting embrace. The snow-covered valley, protected by slender, twisted trees, was a scene of relentless beauty and constant danger. The pale daylight, filtered by heavy clouds, barely illuminated the white expanse. The main village, though invisible, seemed a point of warmth and safety in Anya's mind, a distant beacon that kept the flame of hope alive. She felt the deep weariness in her own bones, a dull ache spreading through her muscles, but the sight of the children emerging one by one from the darkness of the passage renewed her strength with inexhaustible energy. Boris, wide-eyed, looked around, searching for signs of the bears, but the vibrations now were only of the howling wind and the dense falling snow. Lena, with Ksenia nestled in her arms, let out an audible sigh of relief, the vapor of her breath mingling with the icy air, a small sign that the tension was easing for a brief moment. The elder knew that the escape from the cave was only a temporary victory, a postponement of the inevitable confrontation with Yakutia's relentless nature. The danger of the bears still loomed, a silent threat mingling with the vastness of winter, but now the most immediate enemy was the environment itself, the cold that numbed limbs, the snow that sank with every step, the exhaustion that weighed on their small bodies, threatening to steal their last spark of energy. Anya gestured for the children to gather near her, seeking the mutual warmth their bodies could offer. Lena clutched Ksenia more tightly, and Boris snuggled beside Lena, all seeking a comfort that the environment would hardly offer, a small oasis of human warmth in the icy immensity. Anya sat in the snow for an instant, tapping her staff gently on the ground. She felt the vibrations of the valley, the frozen earth, telling them stories of hidden paths and dangers. There was a slight incline ahead, a plateau that could offer a better view of the landscape, but also expose them more to the biting wind. Anya closed her eyes for an instant, concentrating on the vibrations, seeking the least dangerous route, the one that would offer more chance of shelter and less exposure to the elements and predators. She felt the presence of the bears, but now they were more distant, scattered, as if the confusion of their escape had disoriented them for a while, giving them a precious window of opportunity. The elder knew they couldn't afford to rest for long. The cold penetrated their clothes like needles, and immobility was an invitation to hypothermia, a silent and fatal enemy. With a firm and decisive gesture, she indicated the path to the plateau. The children, though exhausted, rose with new determination, their small faces reflecting a mix of fear and an unwavering faith in the elder, who was their guide and their hope. Boris, who had once been the most fearful, now walked with a silent determination, his eyes fixed on Anya's back, absorbing her strength. Lena, with Ksenia, seemed to have found a reserve of inner strength, driven by love for her sister and the responsibility to protect her. As they climbed the gentle slope, Anya felt the connection between them deepen, an invisible and powerful bond that united them. It wasn't just the physical protection she offered, but the hope she radiated, the silent promise that they were not alone, that together they would overcome every obstacle. She was the link, the guardian of a future that still seemed uncertain, but which she would fight to secure. At the top of the plateau, the wind was even stronger, whipping the snow into blinding whirls, but the view opened up, revealing the immensity of the landscape. Ahead, a vast snow plain stretched out, dotted with some rocky formations and frozen bushes. And in the distance, almost imperceptible through the blizzard, Anya felt a different vibration, an energy pattern she knew, the presence of human life, the warmth of fires, the pulse of a community. It was the main village, an oasis of life in the icy desert. A wave of relief, mixed with renewed urgency, swept through Anya. They were closer than she imagined, but the distance was still considerable, and the terrain, deceptively flat, could hide traps of thin ice or treacherous crevices. She felt the bear's vibrations again, a slow and methodical movement coming from behind and the flanks as if they were regaining lost ground, closing the encirclement. The blizzard, which had previously helped them hide, now seemed like a curtain isolating them, making navigation even more treacherous. Anya knew every step was crucial. She needed to guide them across the plain, avoiding the most fragile points of the ice and areas where the bears could ambush them. Her connection to the earth was her only compass, and her determination to protect the children, her only engine. She raised her staff, indicating the direction, her eyes conveying a silent strength that promised final victory, the arrival to safety. Anya raised her staff, a silent command. They descended from the plateau to a vast snow plain, a white and indifferent sea under Yakutia's grey sky. The wind whipped furiously, raising clouds of snow that blinded and cut the skin. Every step was a challenge. The snow sank to the children's knees, draining their energy. Anya felt the earth, reading invisible dangers. Complex vibrations indicated ice solidity, air currents, and bear movements. The predators were no longer directly behind them. Anya felt their presences spreading in a semicircle, trying to outflank the group, pushing them into a trap. Boris, pale and exhausted, stumbled and fell. Lena, exhausted, knelt. Senior, in her arms, slept restlessly. Anya stopped, turned. Her tired eyes shone with determination, a silent promise. She touched Boris's shoulder, transmitting warmth and strength. He rose with new courage. The elder scanned the landscape. Vibrations indicated thinner ice to the left, a trap. To the right, snow dunes offered cover, but the path was longer. Anya chose the right, safer path. With a nod, she indicated the new direction. And the children followed, their bodies hunched against the wind. Climbing the dunes was exhausting, their feet sinking with immense effort. Anya felt the accelerated rhythm of their hearts, their panting breaths, the penetrating cold. Exhaustion was an enemy as dangerous as the bears. At the top of a dune, Anya stopped. The bears' vibrations intensified, closing the encirclement. The main village was a faint, distant vibration, an echo of hope. Between them and the village, Anya felt something new. A vast area of cracked ice, a treacherous trap, almost impossible to cross. An obstacle the bears would use to corner them. There were hidden paths, passages the earth would reveal. She closed her eyes, concentrating on each tremor. The children watched her, their faces marked by apprehension. Boris approached, clutching the edge of Anya's coat. The elder embraced him, transmitting calm and certainty. Clear vibrations revealed a thin line of more solid ice winding through the cracked area, like a bluish vein. It was a narrow path requiring precision and faith. Anya opened her eyes, a faint smile of relief. With a slow gesture, she indicated the way. The children, seeing the change in her face, felt new hope. Anya went first, her staff tapping gently, testing every inch. She felt the vibrations of the thin ice and the danger, but her feet followed the safe line with precision. The children followed her, light-footed, trusting fully. Boris mimicked Anya. Lena, with Senior, advanced slowly, her heart strong, her determination unwavering. They crossed the cracked ice, a silent ballet of courage and trust. When they reached the other side, stepping onto firm ice, the relief was a collective sigh. The bears' vibrations, though present, were more distant, confused, as if they had lost the trail. The main village seemed closer, its vibration stronger, a warm call in the icy vastness. The journey was long, but the treacherous obstacle of the plain had been overcome. Anya looked at the children, their faces flushed from the cold, their eyes shining with new hope. The connection between them was unbreakable, a thread of life and love in the tapestry of Yakutia. She raised her staff, indicating the final direction, her eyes promising that together they would reach home. Anya raised her staff, the promise in her eyes a beacon in the whiteness. The children, exhausted, felt the renewed hope that emanated from her. They advanced across the snow plain, their steps rhythmic with the muffled sound of the staff and the constant howl of the wind. The snow, once protective, now a dense veil, transformed the landscape into an indistinct blur. Visibility diminished with each minute, and the wind, an icy wall, pushed them back. The elder felt the intensification of the cold, a harbinger of an even fiercer blizzard. Her sharpened senses picked up the ground vibrations with frightening clarity. The bears had not given up. Their presences, once confused, now reorganized, an encirclement slowly closing. They used the blizzard to their advantage, turning the lack of visibility into a predatory asset. Boris coughed, the icy air burning his lungs, clutching Lena's coat, who held Ksenia tight against her chest. Exhaustion was a silent enemy, eroding strength and hope. Anya felt the weakness in their small bodies. She needed to act fast. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind hit them, raising a curtain of snow so dense that visibility became zero. It was a complete whiteout, where sky and earth merged into a white, indistinct mass. Panic rose in the children's eyes, lost in the whiteness. But Anya, in her sonic darkness, saw with other eyes. The ground vibrations were her map. She felt the wind's direction, the subtle incline of the terrain, the presence of the bears, who, though close, were disoriented by the lack of visibility. With a quick gesture, Anya indicated that the children should crouch down, forming a small circle to protect themselves. She positioned herself in the center, her staff firmly planted in the snow. She closed her eyes, concentrating. The bear's vibrations were a complex pattern. She discerned the movement of each of the 7 giants, their heavy paws sinking into the snow, their growls muffled by the wind, but felt as tremors in the ground. They approached, but hesitantly, cautiously. Anya felt a different vibration, deeper, coming from a specific direction. It wasn't a bear. It was the echo of a rocky formation, a natural shelter she knew, hidden under the snow, but which, with the whiteout, would be impossible to find without her unique guidance. It was a risk, but the only chance to escape the encirclement and the cold. With a nod, she indicated the direction, and the children, trusting blindly, stood up and followed her, their small bodies bending against the wind. Every step was a battle. Anya led, her feet reading the terrain, veering away from small, invisible obstacles. Boris, his face covered in ice, kept his eyes fixed on the elder's silhouette, his faith unwavering. Lena, with Ksenia, felt tears freeze on her cheeks, but Anya's determination was a balm for her fear. The elder felt the bear's presence intensify. They were close, sniffing. Suddenly, the vibration of the rocky formation grew stronger, and Anya felt the air change, a slight relief from the wind. With a final effort, she guided the children behind a large rock covered by thick snow, forming a natural alcove. It was a temporary shelter, a welcome respite from the biting wind and the whiteout. The children huddled together, seeking warmth, their bodies trembling from cold and exhaustion. Anya sat at the entrance, her staff in hand, feeling the vibrations of the bears passing nearby, unaware of their presence. Lost in the blizzard's blind fury, they had escaped for now. The village was still far, and night was approaching, with intense cold and greater dangers. The journey was far from over, but hope, like a small flame, still burned in their hearts. The village was still far, and night was approaching, with intense cold and greater dangers. The journey was far from over, but hope, like a small flame, still burned in their hearts. Anya knew that the shelter under the rock was just a respite, a postponement. The cold bit and the growing darkness promised even more brutal temperatures. She felt the bear's vibrations, now more distant but still present, like giant shadows lurking in the blizzard. They had not given up. They were merely regrouping, their predatory instincts sharpened by hunger and desperation. With a gentle gesture, Anya indicated that the children should prepare. Boris, with chapped lips and a pale face, looked at her, his eyes pleading for a pause that the elder could not grant. Lena, with Senior asleep in her arms, clutched her sister, a knot of fear and determination in her chest. The elder touched Lena's shoulder, transmitting a silent strength, a promise that they would not be abandoned. Anya stood, her body bent by time, but her will unbroken. She felt the earth, reading the invisible map that the vibrations drew. The bears were moving in a hunting pattern, encircling them in a wide arc. The blizzard, which had previously hidden them, was now a barrier that made evasion a dangerous ballet. She needed to guide them through a crevice, a narrow path that the giant predators would not be able to follow. With a decisive nod, Anya led the way out of the shelter. The wind whipped them again, and the snow blinded, but the elder advanced with a certainty that transcended sight. She felt the ice beneath her feet, the incline of the terrain, the immense presence of the 7 polar bears moving like white mountains in the growing darkness. One of them, the largest with a powerful and constant vibration, was dangerously close, blocking the most direct path to the village. Anya stopped abruptly, raising her staff. The children, accustomed to her signals, froze. The elder felt the tremor of the giant bear's paws approaching, the ground vibrating with its colossal mass. She discerned the rhythm of its heavy breathing, the tension in its muscles. There was no time to detour. With a quick movement, she indicated a narrow crevice between 2 rocky formations, almost invisible in the blizzard. It was a risk, but the only chance. Boris was the first to squeeze through, his small body sliding through the opening. Lena, with Senior, had more difficulty, but Anya helped her with a firm push, feeling the urgency in her heart. The elder was the last, her slender body contorting to pass. They had barely sheltered in the crevice when they felt the bear's impact against the rock, a violent tremor that made snow fall from above. The predator's muffled growl, though inaudible to Anya, was an echo of fury she felt in the ice's vibrations. The crevice opened into a series of winding passages, a natural labyrinth that Anya knew by its vibrations. She advanced, her feet reading every turn, every obstacle. The other bears, confused by the sudden disappearance, began to disperse, their vibrations becoming more erratic, but the largest of them, the most persistent, was still nearby, sniffing, its presence a constant threat. Anya felt the children's exhaustion, their dragging steps, their panting breaths. Boris stumbled again, but rose with new determination, his eyes fixed on the elder. Lena, with Senior, embraced her sister with a strength that seemed to come from a place beyond her exhaustion. With each step, the elder felt the connection between them deepen, an invisible thread of love and hope. Suddenly, Anya felt a different vibration, stronger, coming from an opening ahead. It wasn't a bear, it was the pulse of the main village, a distant warmth that the earth transmitted. They were close, very close. But between them and safety, the bear's vibrations intensified again, forming a final encirclement. Anya knew the climax was coming. She raised her staff, a beacon of courage in the icy darkness, ready for the final ballet against Yakutia's relentless nature. Anya raised her staff, a beacon of courage in the icy darkness, ready for the final ballet against Yakutia's relentless nature. The village's vibration, once a distant pulse, was now an urgent call, mingling with the menacing tremor of the 7 polar bears closing in for a final encirclement. She felt each of them, their heavy paws sinking into the snow, their giant bodies moving with calculated yet relentless slowness. The icy air carried the strong scent of predator, a threat the others couldn't hear, but which Anya felt in every fiber of her being. The children huddled behind her, their small bodies trembling not just from cold, but from a fear Anya felt radiating. Boris, wide-eyed, clutched the edge of Lena's coat, who held Ksenia with almost painful tightness. The elder turned to them, her face wrinkled, but her eyes conveying an unwavering calm, a silent promise of victory. She touched Boris's face, feeling the ice on his skin, but also the flame of hope igniting in his eyes. Anya closed her eyes for an instant, concentrating. The earth spoke to her, revealing not only the presence of the bears, but also the secrets of the terrain ahead. There was a narrow passage, almost a crevice in the rock, that opened onto a gentler slope, protected from the wind and, crucially, closer to the village. But to reach it, they would have to pass a point where the ice was treacherous, and one of the bears, the largest and most cunning, was positioned like a sentinel. With a decisive nod, Anya indicated the direction. The children, trusting blindly in their guide, moved, their steps faltering but filled with new determination. The elder led, her staff tapping gently on the ice, feeling the solidity beneath her feet. Veering away from fragile spots, the giant bear, sensing their approach, began to move, its vibration growing in intensity, a miniature earthquake. Anya knew it was a race against time. She quickened her pace, gently pulling Boris by the hand, while Lena, with Ksenia, struggled to keep up. The wind howled, trying to knock them down, but Anya's will was stronger. They approached the bear, its immense silhouette emerging in the blizzard. Anya felt the exact moment the predator prepared to attack, a deep tremor in the ground, a warning only she could decipher. With surprising agility for her age, Anya abruptly changed direction, guiding the children along an unexpected evasion route, a ballet of calculated movements that confused the bear. The white giant hesitated, its growl of frustration muffled by the blizzard, but felt by Anya as a shockwave. They slid into a small depression in the snow, using it as cover, while the bear passed them by, unaware of their presence. The narrow passage was just ahead. With a final effort, Anya pushed Boris inside, then helped Lena and Ksenia. She was the last, feeling the cold rock at her back, the thin air, but the safety. The bear's growl echoed from outside, but couldn't reach them there. The crevice opened onto the slope, and then a miracle. Through the blizzard, a warm yellow light flickered. It was the village. The ground's vibration was a chorus of voices, the warmth of fires, the promise of home. The children saw the light, and a cry of joy, mixed with tears, escaped their lips. Boris ran, stumbling, towards the light. Lena, with Ksenia, followed him, their faces illuminated by a hope that seemed to have been reborn. Anya watched them, a faint smile on her lips. The exhaustion was immense, but the joy of seeing them safe was a balm for her soul. She had fulfilled her promise, her connection to the earth, her ancestral wisdom, and her unbreakable will to protect had ensured that the YAKUT spirit would never bend. The village welcomed them with hugs and tears, human warmth dispelling the cold and fear. Anya, the silent guardian, had brought her children home. The village welcomed them with hugs and tears, human warmth dispelling the cold and fear. Anya, the silent guardian, had brought her children home. The smell of wood smoke and roasted meat filled the air, a fragrance of life and safety that Anya felt as a soft, constant vibration. The children were immediately enveloped by parents and grandparents, their small bodies squeezed in tight embraces, tears of relief flowing freely. Boris, his face still red from the cold, was lifted into his father's arms, a strong and robust man who pressed him against his chest, murmuring words of gratitude inaudible to Anya, but felt as a wave of love. Lena, with Xenia still asleep, was received by her mother, who wept as she kissed her daughter's icy faces. The elder watched the scene, sitting on a wooden bench near the central fire, the warmth penetrating her tired bones. She didn't hear the voices, but felt the cacophony of emotions, joy, relief, gratitude, vibrating through the ground, a symphony of life that was the most beautiful melody to her soul. Her own muscles ached, and exhaustion was deep, but a serene contentment filled her heart. She had fulfilled her promise. Not only had she guided the children through the blizzard's fury and the bear's threat, but she had rekindled the flame of hope in their small hearts. Boris broke free from his father and ran to Anya, hugging her legs with all the strength of his small body. He said nothing, but Anya felt the purity of his gratitude, the silent recognition of her courage. She stroked his hair, a gesture of affection that spoke more than 1,000 words. Lena, with Xenia awake and curious, also approached, her eyes brimming with tears, but a genuine smile on her lips. She knelt and embraced Anya, and Xenia extended a small hand to touch the elder's wrinkled face. It was a touch of innocence, a recognition that this woman, with her stillness and her strength, had been their safe harbor. The other elders of the village approached Anya, their faces marked by age and wisdom. They didn't need words to understand the magnitude of what she had done. Their eyes conveyed respect and admiration. One of them, the oldest, placed a hand on her shoulder, a gesture of honor that Anya felt deeply. She was the guardian, the bridge between the past and the future, the embodiment of YAKUT resilience. The story of her journey, told in whispers and glances, would spread through the village, becoming another legend of courage and altruism. Anya looked at the children, now warm and fed, their small faces beginning to regain color. They had faced fear, exhaustion, and danger, and emerged stronger, with a deep understanding of the connection to the earth and the value of community. That day, she knew, would shape who they would become. They would learn to listen to the earth's vibrations, not with their ears, but with their hearts, like her. The wind outside still howled, but inside the hut, the warmth of the fires and human hearts prevailed. The polar bears, though still out there, hungry and wild, had not prevailed. Anya's unbreakable will, her ancestral wisdom, and her deep connection to the earth had ensured victory. The YAKUT spirit, forged in ice and adversity, would never bend. The village lived, and the next generation was safe. Anya closed her eyes, feeling the pulse of life around her, a promise that, even in the most merciless Yakutia, hope would always find a way to flourish. Her journey was complete, her legacy, etched not in words, but in the hearts of those she had saved. Her journey was complete, her legacy etched not in words, but in the hearts of those she had saved. In the days that followed, as the blizzard subsided and Yakutia's pale sun began to peek through the clouds, the village transformed. Fear gave way to deep gratitude, weaving a new tapestry of human connection and hope. Anya remained in her stillness, observing the life that bubbled around her. She felt the ground vibrate with the renewed energy of the children, their light steps and their laughter, once muffled by terror, now resonating with pure, unhindered joy. Boris, his childlike curiosity intact but now tinged with a new seriousness, often sought her out. He would sit at her feet, watching her in silence, as if trying to decipher the secrets she held. Anya felt his small body vibrate with unspoken questions, with the need to understand the strength that had guided him. She, in turn, merely stroked his hair, a gesture that spoke of protection and a secure future. Boris often closed his eyes, imitating Anya, trying to feel the earth's vibrations, a seed of wisdom planted in his young heart. Lena, with Senior always by her side, also approached. The young girl, who had carried the weight of fear and responsibility, now displayed remarkable resilience. Her eyes, once full of apprehension, shone with a deeper understanding of life. She helped the elders in rebuilding the small damages caused by the blizzard, her tireless energy a testament to overcoming adversity. Senior, oblivious to the gravity of the danger she had faced, played with other children, her crystalline laughter a balm for weary souls. But even she, in her innocence, seemed to carry a stillness, a subtle connection to the silent guardian who had protected her. Anya watched the village reborn. The fires crackled stronger, stories were told with renewed fervor, and every shared meal was an act of celebrating life. The polar bears, though still a latent threat in the icy vastness, were no longer the focus of terror. The village had learned that courage resided not just in brute strength, but in intelligence, unity, and the ability to listen to the earth's whispers. Anya's ancestral wisdom, which many had considered a peculiarity, was now revered as the pillar of their survival. The village elders organized a small ceremony, a silent recognition of Anya's prowess. There were no grand speeches, only looks of deep respect and gestures of gratitude. They presented her with a new staff, carved from the most resilient birchwood, adorned with symbols of protection and connection to the earth. Anya received it with a nod, feeling the vibration of the wood in her hands, an echo of the forest's strength. She knew her life had become forever intertwined with that of those children. They would be the next generation to carry the YAKUT spirit, forged in adversity, but enriched by compassion and altruism. The story of their escape, of the deadly ballet against the white giants, would become part of their oral tradition, a reminder that true strength lies in the unbreakable will to protect and the deep connection to the world around them. Anya stood, her new staff firm in her hands. Yakutia's sun, though weak, painted the snow with golden hues, promising a new day. She felt the earth beneath her feet, a constant pulse of life and hope. Challenges would come, they always would, but the village was stronger, more united. Human connection, love for family, and ancestral wisdom were the true shields against winter's mercilessness. The YAKUT spirit would never bend, for in every heart she had saved, a part of her courage would forever flourish. The journey was complete, but the legacy of Anya, the silent guardian, was only beginning to unfold in the village's future.